As we creep ever closer to the middle of August, Bungie has started letting more Forsaken news out of the bag. The recent combat reveal stream showed us quite a bit, and this week's TWAB was absolutely packed with things to take a look at. It talks about our future weapons, the slots, the gunsmith, nightfall, dailies, bounties, inventory, the director, trials, faction rallies, leveling, I mean, tons of stuff, and more on top of that. So let's dive in and check out everything from this week at Bungie. Guardians, what is going on, guys? Sly here, back at it with another D2 video for you, and today we're going to be checking out the Bungie Weekly Update. Like I mentioned, it is absolutely freaking overflowing with information about changes coming to Forsaken. Now, I'm going to go over all of the important parts, the big parts, but you should definitely check it out for yourself because there's lots to go over. So first up, let's get into it, guys. Year 1 weapons. Like I mentioned before, if there are certain weapons you want to be void, solar, etc., then change them over to that element before August 28th. Once that date hits, whatever your Year 1 weapon is at that time will be stuck in that element and will become that element forever. There are exceptions like the Icolo Sniper and the Shotgun, which will be locked into solar no matter what element it is. This is obviously to stop the stacking of void with Tractor Cannon, so that one will be switched regardless. There are also some Year 1 favorites that will be moving to kinetic, and again, no matter what element you switch it to, they will end up becoming kinetic regardless. And those weapons are Balagant, Shepherd's Watch, Hawthorne's Field Forged Shotgun, which I've talked about before. We have Alone as a God, which is the Raid Sniper Rifle, Perfect Paradox, an awesome shotgun. Then we have the Frigid Jackal and the Strike-Specific Silicon Neuroma. Those just listed will now be kinetic weapons and will feature no element. So like I said, no matter what you switch them to, they're going to switch to kinetic regardless. Next, let's talk about how Forsaken is changing Destiny. Overhauling is really more the appropriate term here, because some of these changes actually hark back to the early days of D1, and I mean like before Crota's End early. We'll get to those changes in a few, but first, let's start out with Bungie's goals for player investment. So, as of right now, the raid only grants you a small boost in power each time you get a drop. This makes leveling a bit slower, which personally I'm all for, but if you are a D1 veteran, then you'll remember back in the day, raid drops were pretty generous in terms of boosting you up, and it looks like Bungie is returning to the days where you can expect drops from extremely challenging activities to bump you up quite a bit. They go on to say that in Forsaken, they are scaling the raid drops based on the difficulty in which it's played. So if you head into the raid while you're way under leveled and you manage to somehow beat it, then you can expect to be rewarded with a huge boost in power. They go on to say that no matter what you're doing, rewards should never drop below your power level. In Forsaken, all rewards will either be above your power level or at your current average level. So say you're helping out a friend by doing something that you've already done and now it's super easy for you to do, but at level for your friend. Then you guys beat it and you get rewarded with stuff that matters. Not greens or blues that are absolute garbage. Something that's at your power level or above. And this is going to go for all Forsaken activities. Bungie goes on to say that with these new changes to the way Destiny will hand out powerful rewards, not all power rewards will be publicly listed. Bungie is trying to get away from having a checklist of activities. You know, you log in, you see your milestones, you do them all, and then your week's over. They want more mystery in the game, more player involvement. So while you can still get powerful engrams from the activities you have come to rely on, there will be plenty of other ways to earn powerful gear each week, but it's up to you and the community to find out how and where they are. It will not be listed anywhere. This also goes along with the new double weekly reset, in which activities will reset every 4 days instead of once per week, except for the raid. So to sum it up, there will be more ways to level up with powerful rewards, and they will come around twice as often. Also, as a side note, exotics in Forsaken will always drop at or above your power level from August 28th onward. Next, let's talk about the director. If you've been a subscriber to the channel for a while, then you probably already know about this, but the director is changing substantially, and milestones are going away. Like I mentioned earlier, the activities that hand out powerful engrams will still be there, but they will no longer be attached to the left trigger when looking at the director. That menu will only list special one-time, non-repeatable missions such as story missions. World quests, which used to be the blue flags on destinations, will be brought over to the Pursuits tab, and most milestones that you know of have been converted into something called activity challenges. So take a look at this. It's the updated director in Forsaken. You'll see the Dreaming City, Gambit, Tangled Shore, and another icon that leaves me guessing right here. We'll find out what that is hopefully one day. But notice the gold stars by each destination. Those are activity challenges, aka milestones. For example, see the gold star next to the crucible? Well, this next picture shows what that gold star is, and it might ring a bell, because it's the weekly Shaxx milestone where you have to play 5 matches. Also notice that it still drops powerful gear. So each week, your old milestones will be found here on each destination. If you want to see what kind of goodies the Vanguard has for you, for instance the Nightfall or something like that, then click on the Vanguard and look for the gold star. It will tell you what needs to be completed. Also notice the gold star on Gambit, which means we're getting a new activity challenge for the week. So that will also be another way to earn powerful gear. The old milestone menu will now show you mostly just quest missions, story missions, campaign stuff, etc. Also, the challenges that you're used to seeing when you pull out your ghost will no longer be there either. Those will be retired into bounties. And you'll want to start doing bounties all the time. You'll see why here in a few. Okay, so next up, let's talk about some of the activities in Forsaken and prepare for a little salt because Bungie is reworking just about everything. Let's start with the good stuff first. So, Nightfalls are being reworked in Forsaken. Prestige Nightfalls will no longer exist, nor will the Nightfall card. However, the Nightfall itself will become much harder, and it will see a base difficulty increase to make it align with what it was supposed to be in the first place, a hard endgame activity. However, at each reset, there will be 3 Nightfall strikes to choose from. If you're looking for a strike-specific item, like an exotic, then having 3 strikes to choose from will let the rotation speed up a bit. This is an awesome change, I believe, so good job on that one, Bungo. Now, they didn't specifically say that the Nightfall will have modifiers in them, but I'm pretty sure it will. Once again, Prestige Nightfall is being retired, as is the Nightfall card, but the overall difficulty is going to be increasing, something I absolutely am for. Back in the first year of Destiny, you had to find the best players on your friends list if you wanted to beat the Nightfall, and you were given rewards that actually mattered, so it made that trial absolutely worth it. And it looks like that we're heading back to that train of thought. Alright, so the next activity we're going to be talking about, strikes. Unfortunately, guys, heroic strikes will also be going away and retired from Destiny 2, but the strike playlist will have 3 difficulties that you can select: 300, 400, and 500 power. Once your character is 40 power over a given playlist, that playlist will then vanish. So if, say for instance, you're 345, then you will only see power level 400 and 500. Once you're power level 445, you will only see 500. However, once you reach max power, the 500 power playlist will always be there. Now, even though heroic strikes are going bye-bye, normal strikes will feature modifiers. Now, I like the idea of multiple strike difficulties because this lets you actually be matched up with someone in or around the same level as you, so you won't be carrying someone through a strike that they even shouldn't really be in, which happened in Warmind all the time, especially in the first 2 weeks. Also, as a quick side note, the week before Forsaken, which is August 28th to September 4th, strike modifiers will kind of go on hiatus. They will reappear when Forsaken drops on September 4th. Now, on to the bad news, guys. First up, Trials will not be coming back in Forsaken. Yes, you heard that right. Season 4 will not have Trials of the Nine. Also, faction rallies are leaving us as well. So that's on top of heroic strikes leaving. I think it's kind of funny that they spend so much work bringing back heroic strikes, fixing modifiers, putting in new Nightfall challenge cards, revamping Trials, and now poof, all of it's gone. Trials and faction rallies will return, but according to Bungie, not anytime soon, nor will it appear in Season 4 at all. They are overhauling both experiences, and when I know more, you will as well. As a side note, Ikora and her meditations will also be leaving us. This is because heroic daily missions will be coming back, and heroic adventures will be added to all destinations. Also, when a certain planet is the flashpoint, one adventure will be selected to be heroic per day, and it will count towards your flashpoint completion. All heroic adventures will share the same modifiers. There will be 1 weekly burn with 1 negative and 1 positive. And speaking of modifiers, Brawler and Grenadier have been buffed to ensure that they actually do what they say they're going to do. So expect faster grenades and melees, and they say for real this time. Also, if you're wondering, heroic daily missions will be set at 500 power. Alright, Nation, next up, let's talk about the economy. Once again, there is a ton of things that are changing. Some I'm not so sure will be for the better. So anyways, this is the part where I get big year 1 vibes. Destination materials will become your main source of reputation on their respective destinations. So planetary materials will play a much bigger role in Forsaken, but wait, it gets better. Destination materials will be a part of the cost to infuse different weapons and armor across your arsenal. So do you remember back in the Vault of Glass days where you had to dedicate a few hours to just straight up farming planetary materials so you could just upgrade your raid gear? Well, it looks like this is exactly what we're going to be going back to. I'm not so sure this is a good thing. I don't mind that planetary materials are now the only way to increase rep with your destination vendor, but to now make us go back and farm them in order to upgrade stuff? That's one thing in year 1 I really did not mind leaving behind. In all honesty, guys, it's probably not going to be that bad. There will be bounties that we can complete, which will give us destination materials like data lettuce or the shards on the EDZ. Bungie also said that there will be multiple ways to earn planetary materials or PMATs, so I doubt we will have to go back to dedicating hours of our time to only farm PMATs, but the horrible memories are kind of creeping me out a little bit. So what about all of these tokens you have now? Well, tokens as a whole across the game, those are also going to be disappearing. Also, rare, the blue destination materials, those PMATs will be going away as well. Also, the planetary challenges I talked about, they will be moving to bounties, and those bounties will now reward PMATs instead of tokens. PMATs, planetary materials, destination materials, these are all the same things. Those are those things you see on the side of the road you pick up at the EDZ or the data lettuce from Nessus, etc., etc. However, if you have stacks of tokens right now, you can turn them in for reputation when Forsaken drops. You just cannot acquire them anymore after that. So my advice is that since rewards will always give you something at your level or above, stacking up on planetary tokens might not be a bad idea, guys, because since they're not coming around anymore, you can get bunches of them right now. And if you turn it in, which helps you upgrade your power, that might be a great way to boost your power when Forsaken drops. So start saving those tokens. Next, let's talk about Gunny, the gunsmith. He is also seeing changes in year 2. Right now, it takes about 40 gunsmith materials to rank up the gunsmith. However, in Forsaken, that number will be increased to 100, which isn't a big deal because I have almost 8,000 of those things, but everyone needs a raise, I guess. Also, Iron Banner, Vanguard, and Crucible tokens earned in Season 3, which is pre-Forsaken because Forsaken is Season 4, they can be turned in to their respective vendors within Season 4. However, since Trials is not coming back for the start of year 2, its tokens will be useless. Bungie has said that at this time we have not yet determined whether its currency will be used when it returns. So if you want to save them, that is entirely up to you. And while we're talking about Iron Banner, there is one more Iron Banner left in Season 3, and it starts next week. August 14th through the 21st will be the last Iron Banner for year 1. However, this Iron Banner has been updated with the new changes. So instead of control flags, you will now see Iron Temple fire pits in their place. Also, the game has changed a little bit as well. When you capture all 3 zones, the zones will lock down for 20 seconds and they cannot be recaptured. However, at the end of 20 seconds, all zones will be returned to neutral and they will require capturing once again. So I think it's a pretty cool twist, and the added effects make it worth taking a look at. Also, it will be triple Valor Week for the week of Iron Banner, so that's a big incentive if you're trying to get the Legendary. Just as a reminder, this will be your last chance to get Season 3 weapons and armor in Iron Banner. All of this will change in year 2. This will also be the last Iron Banner where power does not matter. In Forsaken, power will once again make a difference. Trials was supposed to be the same way, but as you can see here, Trials will be unavailable for the duration of Season 4, which is a pretty long time, so I hope they come back with something amazing. Alright Guardians, only a few topics left to talk about, so hang in there, and the next one is Eververse. As I'm sure you all know, with the new season brings tons of new cosmetic items. Bungie is bringing back the Prismatic Matrix in Season 4, and this time it will be around for the entire season. Expect some never-before-seen effects, including a new ghost effect called Ghost Holograms. This picture here is a small sample of what it'll look like, and even though it doesn't seem all that great in this picture, I bet it can lead to some pretty awesome effects later down the road. Also, Eververse will now have bounties to complete. You ever wish that you could get Bright Dust a little bit faster? Well, these bounties are how you can start stacking it up.
So how it works is like this. Once you reach the end game, you will start getting bright engrams at every XP reset, like it currently does now. Within each bright engram, there will be one Eververse bounty note. Tess Everest will have weekly bounties, and they can be completed however many times you want, as long as you have the notes to do so. So there are 3 tiers of bounties. The first tier costs 1 bounty note to buy, and it will reward you with 20 bright dust. The second tier will cost 3 bounty notes to acquire, and it rewards 70 bright dust. And the third tier costs 6 bounty notes, and that will reward you with 150 bright dust. Honestly, it's not really even worth it unless you do the tier 3. 20 bright dust isn't really even worth your time. I mean, you can just delete a couple shaders and get that. So these bounties are not like the Vanguard or Crucible bounties. They will expire in a week from when you pick them up. So I guess it's kind of a neat way to get more bright dust in case that one item pops up sometime down the road that you really want to get. Also, Bungie is combining bounties and the prismatic matrix into one thing. Every week, players will get 1 free prismatic facet that they can use in prismatic matrix. You get this facet by completing a special bounty that Tess offers. This special bounty is pretty much free, and it does not require a bounty note. However, it does cost 250 glimmer, which is basically nothing. Just remember that you can still only hold 3 prismatic facets at one time, even in Forsaken. Now, it doesn't say what you have to do in these bounties to earn this free facet, but if it's something like spend 50 bucks in silver, then I am quitting the game. Next, let's talk about collections. So, ever since, I know this is getting long, guys, hang in there. Ever since May 8th, Bungie has been tracking your rewards account-wide. Whatever has dropped for you since then will be accessible in your collections tab, Eververse armor included. So since a lot of cool stuff drops from Eververse, but you might have gotten rid of it to make room, you will be able to pick all of that back up. However, it will cost bright dust to buy Eververse items back from the collections. Eververse armor will also benefit from the new random rolls, which are coming to armor as well. So if it drops for you, it will roll with random perks, but if you buy it from collections, they will be featured with a certain perk selection that cannot change, as will all armor and weapons coming from collections. Like I said in a previous video, pretty much like the Bungie version of that weapon or armor will always come from the collections. It will not roll every time you buy it. Also, as a side note, mods will no longer drop from bright engrams. A new category called Ghost Projections will take its place, as well as bounty notes. But that is about it, Guardians. I'm finished with all of my triumphs. I have the beautiful special looking ship, 3 full sets of legendary parade armor, and just a few more masterwork boxes left to tick, and I will be ready for Forsaken. Now, they haven't said what Forsaken will be starting out at in terms of power. I'm assuming it'll be like 360-ish, maybe even lower. Bungie's pretty easygoing with campaign missions. Also, I'm currently working on a new pre-Forsaken leveling guide in which I go over everything you should be doing in order to get ready for the release. Also, there's a new Dreaming City trailer, which, as most of you know, makes me drool. If you haven't seen it, it is embedded in the weekly update, so definitely check that out when you're reading along. But that is about it for me, Guardians. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and for all of your support over the past couple of months. Subscribe for more D2 Forsaken and Anthem videos. Spank the thumbs up only if you enjoyed yourself, and keep those eyes open for more vids coming out soon. But until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll catch you all next time.